The filibuster may be in the Senate, but confrontation is in the House. Sherman versus Rubio gets intense.
Representative Sherman. We all miss Jerry Conley, and I do not think that he would want us to be passive in our questioning here today. Mr. Chairman, it's our job to oversee the State Department. You can't do that by having think tank witnesses come before us. Our job isn't to oversee the think tanks. In 2023, we had 44 government witnesses. This year, we have our first. And I hope very much that we have all not only the secretary, but the undersecretaries and assistant secretaries so that we can really do our job. Secretary Rubio, in the 1970s, there was a powerful Middle East monarch who claimed to be a friend of the United States, may very well have been, claimed to be at least agreeable to Israel. And so in the 1970s, we transferred enormous, sophisticated weapons to him. In 1979, the Shah was deposed, and all those weapons were in the hands of the Ayatollah. Today, MBS wants a nuclear weapon. But he says what he wants is a nuclear cooperation agreement. Well, we have a nuclear cooperation agreement with the United Arab Emirates and Turkey and Morocco that all provide for a gold standard of safety. Can you assure us that you will not enter into a nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia that does not have that same gold standard of security to make sure they're not building a nuclear weapon?
Well, first I will tell you that there has been no conversation about entering into one. For example, during the recent trip.
Can you, I've got limited time.
I can't. So here's the thing. I can
Sir,
tell you.
Either give me a yes, give me a no.
Well, I'm going to give you my answer if you want my answer.
I want a yes
this is not
or
a game
no.
show.
Reclaiming my time.
Well, reclaim your time, but it's not a game show. I get to answer. These are complex questions. Let me answer.
Mr. Secretary, I'm reclaiming my time. The filibustering
means,
takes place in the Senate, not here.
I'm not filibustering. I'm trying to answer your question.
You're trying. Let's go on to the next question. With regard to Iran, can you assure us that you will continue sanctions on Iran until they verifiably agree to abandon all enrichment? That's a yes or no question.
No, it's not.
Well, can you give me a yes or no, or should I go on to the next question?
We believe that Iran should not be allowed to enrich uranium. Correct.
You believe that it should?
We believe that an acceptable deal with Iran is one in which they cannot enrich, because if they can enrich, they can weaponize.
I know why we don't want. I asked you, will we agree? Will we continue the sanctions until they verifiably agree to get rid of the
you have no
enrichments?
worry about us. The worry was the previous administration. This administration has been
refusal to give me an answer is loud and clear.
No, well, I'd like to answer
reclaiming my time. Mr. Chair, you told us about all these wonderful business deals that were announced in the Middle East. It's reminiscent of the first year of the first term of Donald Trump, where he announced a $10 billion investment by Foxconn in Wisconsin. It is still an empty field. I am sure that the only deals announced in the Middle East that will actually happen were the bribery deals, the $400 million plane and the $2 billion Abu Dhabi will put into the cryptocurrency sponsored by Mr. Trump. TikTok. Mr. Secretary, you led the effort to say that it shouldn't be controlled by the Chinese Communist Party. We passed a law with your help. That law requires that we ban TikTok now because all of the expiration dates have expired. But instead, we saw Chinese interests affiliated with TikTok transfer $300 million into the Trump coin, which is a pure gift. It's $300 million for nothing but monopoly money. And so there's a word in Mandarin for this. It's called bribery. And it raises the question that I'll ask you to respond to for the record, and that is there any statute this administration will not violate for a $300 million Chinese bribe? We next focus on USAID. Musk gutted it. He said no one died as a result. Do you agree that no one has died yet as a result of the chainsawing of USAID? Yes or no?
I'm sorry, the question is, has anyone what?
Has anyone in the world died because of what Elon Musk did?
Listen,
Yes or no, reclaiming my time. If you won't answer, that's a loud answer.
no one has died because of USAID.
The people who have died
That's a
as a
lie.
result of cutting off the oxygen of a woman in Burma and denying HIV/AIDS treatment to those in Africa. They are dead now at the hands of Elon Musk and his co-conspirators.
Chair now
yield back.
recognizes Representative.
Brad Sherman came ready. And from the moment he started questioning Secretary Marco Rubio, you could feel the tension rise. This wasn't a polite hearing. This was a political clash that revealed a lot about how power, accountability, and arrogance collide in Washington. Sherman began with a pointed reminder. The House Foreign Affairs Committee isn't there to host think tank panels or rehearse talking points. Their job is to hold the State Department accountable, directly. That set the tone, and once the questioning began, it didn't take long before sparks flew. When Sherman brought up the history of U.S. weapons transfers in the 1970s, weapons that ended up in the hands of the Ayatollah after the fall of the Shah, he wasn't just reciting history. He was drawing a very deliberate parallel. Today, Saudi Arabia's Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman is once again seeking nuclear capabilities, and Sherman's question was simple. Will the U.S. guarantee that any nuclear cooperation agreement with Saudi Arabia meets the same safety gold standard we require from other countries? But Rubio dodged. Instead of answering directly, he tried to lecture Sherman about how complex these issues are, saying, "This is not a game show." That was the spark. Sherman immediately pushed back, reclaiming his time and firing off one of the most cutting retorts of the hearing. The filibustering takes place in the Senate, not here. That moment mattered because it exposed how often executive officials, whether Democrat or Republican, hide behind vague answers and bureaucratic language instead of accountability. Rubio wanted to sound diplomatic. Sherman wanted clarity. And in that clash, viewers got a raw look at how oversight is often more performance than progress. But Sherman didn't stop there. He turned the heat up with a series of yes or no questions about Iran, asking whether the administration would maintain sanctions until Iran verifiably ended uranium enrichment. Once again, Rubio resisted a direct answer. Sherman wasn't having it, and when Rubio tried to sidestep again, Sherman cut him off. "Your refusal to give me an answer is loud and clear." By this point, the frustration was palpable. But what made this exchange even more remarkable was how Sherman wove together multiple threads: Iran, Saudi Arabia, TikTok, foreign investments, to paint a larger picture of inconsistency, corruption, and blurred lines between business interests and foreign policy. He even compared the administration's business deal announcements in the Middle East to Donald Trump's failed $10 billion Foxconn promise in Wisconsin, an empty field dressed up as an accomplishment. The implication was sharp. What good are these announcements if they don't lead to real results? Then Sherman pivoted to one of the most unexpected yet striking points of the hearing: foreign aid and humanitarian consequences. He accused Elon Musk of effectively killing people by gutting USAID programs, saying that cutting off oxygen to a woman in Burma or denying HIV treatment to Africans isn't just neglect, it's blood on someone's hands. That's a bold statement. Provocative, emotional, and perhaps hyperbolic, but it underscored a deeper frustration. Behind all the politics, behind the back and forth over sanctions and nuclear cooperation, there are real people whose lives depend on the policies being debated in that room. What made this exchange so fascinating is how it captured two competing visions of leadership. On one side, Sherman, pressing for clarity, accountability, and moral responsibility. On the other, Rubio, insisting on control, deflection, and the right to shape the narrative on his terms. The tension between oversight and power, that's what played out right in front of the cameras. And for viewers, there's a bigger takeaway here. This isn't just about foreign policy or partisan friction. It's about how power responds to scrutiny. When officials dodge questions, when they treat public hearings like political theater instead of public service, it reveals something about how disconnected leadership can become from the people and the principles they claim to represent. Brad Sherman may not always be the headline name in Congress, but in this exchange, he reminded everyone what real oversight sounds like: persistent, informed, and unwilling to let those in power hide behind rehearsed answers. His line, "The filibustering takes place in the Senate, not here," wasn't just a clapback, it was a statement about democratic accountability. And that's the point viewers should take away. Democracy doesn't function on slogans or vague reassurances. It depends on people willing to ask hard questions and demand clear answers, even when those answers make the powerful uncomfortable. So as the world watches U.S. foreign policy unfold, whether it's Saudi nuclear ambitions, Iran sanctions, or humanitarian aid, moments like this hearing show us the stakes. Real oversight is messy, it's confrontational, but it's also necessary. Because if elected officials don't ask the hard questions, who will? And that's why we need to stay informed, engaged, and vocal. These hearings may seem procedural, but they reveal the fault lines in how our government operates. So if you care about truth, transparency, and accountability, keep watching, keep questioning, and don't tune out. Because the moment the public stops paying attention, power wins by silence. Subscribe to Left Lens for more deep, unapologetic analysis that breaks through the noise and brings the truth to light.